Hello, my dear students. Today we will discuss the important topics from science and technology during the period of 15th to 21st of March. So let's see what all topics we have today. In the science and technology part, we have the Martian blueberries, then we have the helium crisis in India, then we have a new method for heavy metals removal from the water. This is an important topic because there is a great amount of heavy metal pollution which is going on in our water. Then there is the mosquito protein that is there, then diatom test, then there is a new technology for high electron mobility transistor. This is a topic which is important from the perspective of electric vehicles, and in the context of India becoming a superpower in the terms of semiconductor devices. Then aluminum air technology based battery system. This is a new type of battery which is being developed, and India has developed this technology. So we will see whether this battery is good or bad, or what are the benefits and drawbacks of this battery. Then in the defense we will have the India's arms imports are down by 33%. So in this topic we will see what is the importance of importing a lot of defense equipments, and what is India doing to become Atmanirbhar, that is self-reliant in terms of the defense imports, in terms of the defense equipments. Then there is the S-400 deal. Here we will see the important ballistic missile defense system of India and other missile defense systems of India that we are using or we are trying to build. So let's move on to the science and technology. And the first topic is regarding the Martian blueberries. So where have the blueberries come from in the Mars? So the answer is that in 2004, the Opportunity rover that was sent by NASA, this Opportunity rover discovered certain rocks which were looking like blueberries on the surface of the Mars. So these rocks were named by the scientists as Martian blueberries. And what are the see have a look at this. This is the type of rock that we are talking about. This type of rock that we are talking about. So why is it in news now? Because this was discovered in 2004. Recently, in Gujarat, in the Jorhan formations, in the Kutch region of Gujarat, the scientists have found similar type of rock structure. Therefore, there is a growing possibility and a growing debate that the Kutch in India possesses similarities to the Martian environment. So this is the topic. This is what the topic is all about. Now, what the scientists found in Gujarat in the Kutch region, the rocks have a high amount of hematite concentration, and in the Mars also, when the Martian blueberries also have a high amount of hematite concentration. So in this perspective, it is important that what is hematite, and because you must be knowing that it is an ore of iron, so you must also now know that what are the different types of ores of iron, okay, and which is the best quality of ore and what quality of ore is found in India. So this is how the topics are connected from science and technology to the geography. Now also coming back to the news that in the Kutch region there is the similar morphology of the rocks also. So morphology means the shape. So these rocks are round in shape, and in the Kutch region also the rocks were round in shape, and their chemical concentration was also same, that is they have high amount of hematite. Now this gives rise to the possibility that there was water which was present on the Mars. Why? Because these rocks are of spherical nature, and this spherical nature can be achieved only by the erosion by the agents of nature. So this erosion most probably can be running water, ठीक है, running water. So running water means that this must have given the spherical shape to this rocks. So this is the main idea. Now coming to the other important concept, that is the rocks in the Mars also show that there was oxygen which was present in the Martian surface. Why? Because hematite needs certain amount of oxygen to form. Why? Because hematite is oxidized form of iron. It is oxidized form of iron. So it is a component. It is a combination of iron and oxygen. So this is the compound. So hematite needs certain oxygen to be formed. So therefore it can be concluded, or it is being debated, that there was water which was present on Mars, and there was also oxygen which was also present. So these two things, like water and oxygen, these two point to the theory that many years ago there might be life on the surface of Mars. ठीक है. Now it is believed that water disappeared from the surface of Mars about 3 billion years ago. So it is also believed that very long ago, that is before 3 billion years ago, there could have been life on the surface of Mars. So this is the whole debate about whether there was life, or whether there is still life on the surface of Mars. So this is what we are trying to find out. So the entire point of this research, all this research which NASA and different space agencies are doing, they are trying to find life on planets other than the Earth. So this is the entire thing about. So this can be an interesting topic, that why we are trying to find life on the other planets. Why? So the next question is that recently we the discovery of the similarities between the Kutch region of Gujarat and Mars, it was shown. Now also in 2016 there was a study in which the scientists found hydrous sulfate deposits. These hydrous sulfates are calcium bearing rocks, and they are very rare on the surface of the earth. So the scientists found the hydrous sulfate deposits in the Matanomad area of the Kutch. So these deposits, they resemble the Martian subsurfacial processes. So therefore it is being said that the Kutch region of Gujarat is very similar to the Mars. So in the future there can be a large inflow of scientists to this region in order to study the similarities between this region and Mars, so that they can design future projects or future space missions to that red planet. Now, this is a factual information from the prelims perspective, that there are different types of iron ore. One is the hematite, then there is the magnetite, then limonite and siderite. So, as we know that hematite is one of the best qualities of iron ore. It has 70% metallic content, but you must be have a careful look at this, that magnetite has a little more iron content as compared to hematite. So magnetite has a little higher iron content as compared to hematite, but still hematite is considered to be one of the best ores. Why? Because in the ore the hematite is found in chunks. So basically the hematite in the ore is found easily, while in the magnetite ore, that is this ore, the amount of magnetite, that is the material, iron material, is not easily found. Now there comes this limonite, which has only 40 to 60% of metallic content. It is inferior quality of coal. And then the siderite, this is the least important coal, that is it has less than 40% of metallic content, but it has a very good property, that it has lime in it, which provides it self-fluxing properties during the time of refinement, during the time of refining of the iron ore. So lime is added for generating of flux. So in siderite the lime is already present, so self-fluxing property is there. Then these are the regions in which the different types of iron ore is found. So you can just have a look that hematite is found mainly in Karnataka and in Odisha. So basically 1/3 of all the hematite content in India is found in Odisha itself. Then magnetite is mainly found in Karnataka. So magnetite ka jo 70% is found in Karnataka. 70% of the magnetite ore in India is found in Karnataka, while the hematite is almost 33% of the hematite is found in Odisha. Rest, these are the other states in which these minerals are found. Now coming to the next topic, that is the helium crisis in India. So the US is recently planning to cut off the exports of helium from 2021. Okay, and this will affect the Indian industry very much, because helium is a gas, a noble gas, which is used in a lot of different applications. So we will see what are the different applications of helium. But India imports helium worth of 55,000 crores from the US. So if the imports of US of helium will be stopped, then it can impact the Indian industries. So let's see some thing about the helium, that it is a inert gas basically of group 18. So if you see the periodic table, then the last group will be the group of inert or noble gases, and in this there is the helium. Now helium is the second lightest element, and what is interesting about helium is that its melting point, or the point at which it becomes solid, is very low. For example, minus 272 degree Celsius. So this is very close to absolute zero, that is minus 273.15 degrees Celsius. So this low, very low freezing point of helium provides it an extraordinary ability that it cannot be frozen, it does not become solid even at low temperatures. Okay? Even at very low temperatures, it does not become solid easily. Therefore, it has applications in a wide variety of equipments, for example, spacecraft or low temperature equipments. So helium is very important from this perspective. Okay. Next important thing is that its boiling point, that is the temperature at which it becomes gas from liquid, liquid from it becomes from liquid it becomes gas, that is the temperature of the boiling point. So that is also very low. So it means that the helium will stay in the gaseous form at temperatures which is about this. So we can easily say that it is very difficult to either liquefy or solidify the helium gas, because its melting and boiling points are very low. So therefore it has a lot of applications. So basically it is extracted from natural gas by liquefying the other components. So basically natural gas, if you liquefy it, then all the gases present will liquefy easily, but helium will not liquefy, because as we have already mentioned that its temperature at which it becomes liquid is very low, minus 268 degrees Celsius. So it will not liquefy easily. Therefore all the other components can be removed and helium will remain as a gas. So this is how it is removed or extracted. Now its application is, because first of all it is inert gas, so it is used for in the welding metals such as aluminum. It is used to pressurize the fuel tanks, and especially in the rockets where cryogenic engines is used. Cryogenic engine, okay, cryogenic engine में the temperature is very low because we are using liquid oxygen, liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen. So the temperature is very low, but we need certain gases in order which can generate some pressures in the tanks, in the fuel tanks. So helium can be used there because it will not freeze or liquefy easily even at that low temperature. Then in meteorology it is used in the balloons, because it is the second lightest gas, so it can be used in the balloons. So it can just lift the balloons up in the air. Then it can be used as coolants, because uh, it will not freeze or it will not solidify even at very low temperature. So it can be cooled to very low temperature and still it will flow like a gas or a liquid. Okay. So it can be used in coolants, and in MRI scanners, that is the medical industry, it is used as a coolant to give the magnetic coils their superconductive properties. So basically superconductivity is a property in which the material loses all its electrical resistance below a certain temperature, but that temperature is generally very low. So in order to achieve such low temperatures, we require coolants which can be cooled to that low temperature and still they can be easily utilized. So helium can be used in such purposes, because even if we cool it to minus 150, minus 200 degrees Celsius, even if we cool it to minus 200 degrees Celsius, then also it will remain as a gas. Okay. So this is why helium is very important from different perspectives. Now the India, what is India trying to do is that India is trying to find out alternatives to the US for the helium exports, because US is US is thinking about stopping the exports of helium. So India is looking for alternative. Now if we see that Qatar is a possible exporter of helium, Qatar is a possible exporter, but here also the path is not very easy, because in recently these countries like Saudi Arabia, UAE and Bahrain and Egypt, these four countries, they cut the ties with Qatar, sorry, in 2017, accusing Qatar of supporting terrorism. Only recently, that is in January 2021, the diplomatic relations were restored between Qatar and these four Arab states. So, what we are trying to say is that importing helium from Qatar may have some challenges because India has to maintain good relationship with Saudi Arabia and all these Arab countries and also with Qatar. So if these countries and Qatar do not have a good relationship among themselves, so it can pose certain diplomatic challenges for India in order to import helium. Okay. So this is another point that has to be noted. Now in India, we can also find helium that in the Rajmahal volcanic basins near the Tantaloi Jharkhand area, we can find a lot of helium. So the extraction is going on there also. It is being mapped extensively for the future exploration, and Atomic Mineral Divisions of the Department of Atomic Energy has started the preliminary measurements and surveys. Now a little bit about the Department of Atomic Energy. It was founded in August 1954 and under the direct charge of the Prime Minister. It is under the direct charge of the Prime Minister, and it was formed through a presidential order, and it is engaged in the development of nuclear power technology, applications of radiation technology in the field of agriculture, medicine, industry and basic research. Now coming to the next topic, that is a new method which was discovered for the removal of heavy metals from the drinking water. This method was created by the IIT Mandi, Indian Institute of Mandi, Indian Institute of Technology, Mandi. So this method is based on adsorbents. Now what there is a difference between absorption and adsorption adsorption. The difference is that in the adsorption, the material, for example, this is the molecule in which is the adsorbent. So the molecules will stay or stick on the surface of this material. Okay, on the surface. So this is called as adsorption, that is sticking to the surface. Now absorption is little different. Absorption is basically when there is, suppose this is a sponge and this absorbs the water. It means the water goes to the inside of the sponge also, in to the interior parts also. But in adsorption, the material will stick and remain on the surface, outer surface only. In absorption, the material will go to the interior parts also. So this is the main difference between adsorption and absorption. So this removal of heavy metals from drinking water is based on adsorption. Now these adsorption, basically the adsorbents, the material which are used for adsorbing the heavy metals out from the drinking water, contain biopolymer, chitosan, and mixed with a polymer called nylon. So nylon, you must be knowing, it is a synthetic polymer, and chitosan is a gel which is derived from crabs, crustaceans. So this is an important gel. Recently it was also in news because there has been application of chitosan gel in the डिफेंस सेक्टर में कैसे इसमें चितोसन जेल बनाई गई थी. चितोसन जेल वाज क्रिएटेड which had the potential of closing closing the wounds of the soldiers closing the wounds of the soldiers and stopping bleeding. So this was the main thing that was possible by using the chitosan gel. So the chitosan gel is basically antibacterial gel which is developed from the crabs of the from the shells of the crustaceans, and it has the property of immediately stopping the bleeding. So it helps in the clotting of the blood. It helps in the clotting of the blood, and it is antibacterial. So it also stops bacterial infection, and it can be used on the surface of these on the outside surface, that is the skin, and it can be used on certain interior wounds also. So therefore it has a large application in the defense sector, because in the wartime it is essential that the bleeding or the wounds are closed immediately and the bleeding is stopped. Now coming back to the topic, a little bit about heavy metals. That heavy metals refer to metallic chemicals that are relatively high density, high atomic weight or atomic number, and they are toxic or poisonous to the human beings. Now There are different heavy metals, for example, mercury, cadmium, chromium, thallium, arsenic, and lead, and all these have different impacts on the body. For example, arsenic poisoning can lead to a disease called arsenicosis. Arsenicosis. So this disease leads to black spots on the hands and the feet, black spots on hands and feet on the skin. Basically it leads to damage of the skin, hyperkeratosis, that is scaling of the skin, and pigments, that is the black spots on the skin. It can cause lung disease, bladder failure, kidney failure, and circulatory problems in the skin. Similarly, lead can lead to mental retardation, convulsion, or death. And low levels of lead can also impact the IQ, that is the intelligence of a particular person. So these heavy metals are very harmful for children because they are in the developmental stage of their life, and these heavy metals can have a very bad impact on their growth and development. So it is very important to remove these heavy metals from the drinking water. And recently a report was also released that a lot of rivers in India, and their water was contaminated by heavy water pollution. Heavy water. A lot of rivers in India, including the famous rivers like Ganga, etc., their waters had a high amount of heavy water in them, heavy metals in them. So it is this technology becomes important. Now, this is the technical details about how this IIT Mandi has developed this new technology. So this new technology is based on solution blowing, and it is more efficient than the previous technology. ठीक है. So you can just read through the details. So basically this detail is not that important from the UPSC perspective, but what is important is that how heavy metals can be removed from the drinking water, and what kind of impacts heavy metal can have on our body. ठीक है. तो जैसे कि this is mentioned that chitosan is there, so this is a biopolymer, biomaterial, because it is obtained from the crabs. Lignin is also biopolymer. Lignin was also in use because rice straw has a high amount of lignin content. So lignin is a type of carbohydrate, similar to cellulose. It is a type of carbohydrate which is found in the bark and hard parts of the राइस स्ट्रॉ के हार्ड पार्ट्स जो होते हैं उसमें लिग्निन मिलता है. एंड बिकॉज लिग्निन इज वेरी हार्ड, so if the rice straw is given to the cattle is not able to digest it completely because of this presence of high amount of lignin. High lignin is present, and therefore the cattle is not able to digest it completely. Therefore the rice straw is not considered to be a good fodder material for the cattle, and this is why the farmers do not cut the rice straw and give to their cattle, but instead they choose to burn it burn it. So therefore stubble burning is done by the farmers because rice straw is not nutritious enough for the cattle, and stubble burning is done especially of the rice crop because rice straw is not that nutritious, and it is not easily digestible by the cattle. So this is how the topic, very small topic of science and technology, can be linked to the topic of environment, that is stubble burning. So this is how we link the topics so that we remember the things. Now coming to the next question, next topic, that is the mosquito protein AEG12. So this protein AEG12 was recently found in the mosquitoes, and it was seen that this protein inhibits the viruses that cause yellow fever, dengue, West Nile virus, and Zika basically, and it also weakly inhibits coronavirus. So this mosquito protein, that is the protein which is found in the mosquito, was found to stop all these disease. तो ये कैसे stop करता है? How does it stop it? It breaks the protective covering of the virus. So basically what is a virus? A virus is basically DNA or an RNA material. In case of coronavirus it is an RNA virus. So the virus has a genetic material, that is DNA or RNA inside, and it is surrounded by a shell. This shell is made up of fats and proteins. ठीक है. So if we destroy this shell of the virus, then the virus is also destroyed because the genetic material, that is the RNA, cannot survive without this shell. So this mosquito proteins, what it does is that it breaks this shell of the virus so that the virus is destroyed. ठीक है. So this is a new development which can be used in the fight against the COVID-19. ठीक है. Then coming to the next topic, that is the diatom test. So it is a test to see whether a person died from drowning in the water. This is a test to see whether a person died from drowning in the water. So how does this test works? So basically diatoms are small photosynthetic algae that are found in almost every aquatic environment. Now if a person, suppose this is a person, he falls in the water. So when he is alive, so he will drink a lot of water because he will try to take in the air, so he will drink the water along with it. So this water will go into the lungs of the person. So when this water goes into the lungs, okay, then the lungs start to fail and they stop functioning. This is how the person dies. So a person dies because the water gets into the lungs of the person and the person is not able to get enough oxygen. Now, if the water is there in the lungs of the person and the person is still alive, then these diatoms which are there in the water, these diatoms will also spread to different parts of the body by the circulatory system, that is the blood. Circulatory system, that is the blood. So, if a person died from drowning in the water, then there will be the presence of diatoms in different parts of the person, different parts of the body of the person. Okay. So, but on the other hand, if a person is already dead, and then his body is thrown in the water, then there is no circulation in the person. So even if the diatoms get into the lungs, they will not spread to different parts of the body because the blood is not circulating. So this is an effective test to see whether the person actually died from drowning or the person was killed earlier and his body was thrown in the water. So this can be a test which can be used in the forensics and other criminal investigations. Then there is a new technology for high electron mobility transistor. High electron mobility transistor. Recently, the scientists at Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, have developed the country's first ever indigenous high electron mobility device, high electron mobility transfer device. So, what is this device? And mind you, this technology itself, HEMT technology itself, is not new. It is very old technology, but India has developed it for the first time. Indigenous, okay. So we have developed it for the first time. This is not a new technology. So thus and this technology uses gallium nitride in the transistor. So there is a lot of things that needs to be understood in this particular topic. So but we will not go into the technicalities. No, we will just understand the basics. Yes. So first of all, let us understand what a transistor is. So basically this is a simple diagram of a transistor. So transistor is a device which has N, P and N. So basically it has a junction, it has two junctions of semiconductor diodes. Okay. So basically now this is also very lot of technical things. So if the persons who are not from technical background just understand this, that in the semiconductor devices there is uh, N-type material, there is the P-type material, P-type. Okay. So this type of material, if we connect N and P-type material, N-type and P-type, so this is called a diode. And the property of this diode is that it will allow the current to pass in one direction, but it will not allow the current to pass in the other direction. So it will allow the current to pass in this direction, okay, but it will not allow the current to pass in this direction. So this is the property of the diode. Okay. For very simple, for non-science background also, you can easily understand that if this is the diode, this is P and this is N, it will allow current to pass in this direction, but it will not allow current to pass in this direction. This is a diode. Now if you connect two diodes in a row, okay, like this is NP and then you also connect a P, so this is a PNP transistor. ठीक है, तो द ट्रांजिस्टर कैन बी पीएनपी टाइप और इट कैन बी एनपीएन टाइप, ठीक है. So this is a basic understanding of the transistor. Now, as the diode has certain utilities, so what are the uses of the transistor? The transistor is a device which can be used as a switch and as an amplifier, switch and an amplifier. ठीक है, तो how can it be used like a switch? For example, if suppose this is a transistor, no need to go into the technicalities. If we remove this battery, this is a symbol of battery, so if there is no voltage in this circuit, if there is no voltage in this circuit, so there will be no voltage in this circuit, ठीक है. Zero, if we remove this battery, if we open this circuit and open it so that it is not flowing, the current is not flowing, so there will be no current in this circuit. So just by controlling the voltage in this side, we can control the current in this side. So this is the basic idea. So if we, this is a switch basically, this is a switch. In the switch also what happens, in the switch what happens is that this, if we keep the switch open, then bulb will not glow, okay, and if we close the switch, then the bulb will glow. So this is the basic idea of a switch, so we can control it. So but in the transistor, we can control it using the voltage of this section. If we reduce this voltage below a certain level, then there will be no current in this section. If we increase the voltage beyond a certain level, then there will be current in this section. This is the basic idea of transistor. Then it can also be used as an amplifier. So how it can be used as an amplifier, that whatever there is the current here, that is whatever the current is here, there will the current here in this circuit will be a multiple version of this. So whatever current is there in this section, and this current, that will be, this current will be a multiplier of the base current. So a much smaller base current causes a large emitter to collect a current, ठीक है. So this is the main idea, ठीक है. The base current will be very small, so just by putting a very small battery here, है ना, so this will create a very small current here, but we can get a very high output current. So it is also an amplifier, it amplifies the current, it is also a switch. This is only what you need to understand for this topic, and no need to go into the depths that भाई diodes क्या होते हैं और ये सब क्या होते हैं, no need to go. And so now this is a basic transistor, this is called a BJT transistor. There are other types of transistor, for example FET, that is the field effect transistor, but the entire process, the entire concept of all the transistor is the same. They act as a switch and they act as an amplifier. Okay, now what is this new transistor, high electron mobility transistor, that was developed recently by the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. So this is basically a transistor, special type of transistor, which uses aluminum gallium nitride and gallium nitride interface to form this kind of switch, ठीक है. So this is basically using this different materials for forming this type of switch. So basically it is not only using the silicon, and it is not only using the N type and the P type material, but it is also using gallium nitride and aluminum gallium nitride. So basically we are shifting away from, we are using less of this and we are using also more of this. So this will allow us to have high electron mobility, so means the electrons can easily go, मतलब basically the current, the amount of current will be very high, can be very high in this type of transistor, ठीक है. For example, in this type of transistor, if there might be an upper limit on this current which can flow, है ना, because this is purely silicon based devices, but here we are using aluminum, gallium and nitride, ठीक है. So all these things will increase the amount of current that can be carried through this circuit, ठीक है. So idea is that it is also acting as a switch and it is also acting as an amplifier, but the amount of current which it can carry is relatively higher as compared to the normal transistors. So this is the whole idea of the high electron mobility transistor. ठीक है. So let us understand some basic concept that high electron mobility transistor is a field effect transistor. I have mentioned you that there are the bipolar junction transistors BJT, then there are FET field effect transistors. No need to understand the difference, just understand that there are different types of transistors. So this is a field effect type of transistor which is very useful for high speed switching. So if you want to switch on the circuit very often, switch on off, the rate of switching on and off is very high, then this type of transistor is very useful. It can be used for high frequency or switching on and switching off. It can be used for digital circuits and micro circuits with low noise. Basically, the amount of disturbance that we get in this type of transistor is very low, and it has a very high gain. So its amplification is also very high. For a very low amount of base current, you can get a very high amount of emitter to collector current. ठीक है. So basically amplification is also very high, and its the speed of switching is also very high. So this can be used in equipments which require this type of thing. And what kind of equipments can require this type of thing? That, for example, it can be used in electric vehicles, because in electric vehicles large amount of current has to be immediately flown from the battery to the vehicle. So this type of transistor can be used, and it can be also used in other devices, for example high speed computing and other similar devices which require a very high switching system. Okay, so now we have understood. Okay, like power transmissions, it can be used, or very high voltage or very high frequency switching is required. So in these applications, this kind of HEMT can be used. ठीक है, तो ये तो हो गया आपका basic understanding of this HEMT. This technology is not new, but we have created this for the first time, therefore it is in news. ठीक है, तो ये चीज समझ में आ गई. Now coming to the next topic, that is the aluminum air technology based battery system. This technology is also not new, but we have developed this technology recently, and we have not developed. The state-owned IOCL has entered into a joint venture with the Israel-based battery technology startup, that is the Finergy, to develop this kind of technology. So this technology also is not new, but Israel has mastered it from a long time. So it had already made this battery a long time ago, and now we have signed a joint venture with this company Finergy to develop this aluminum air technology based battery. तो ये है क्या टेक्नोलॉजी? व्हाट इज दिस टेक्नोलॉजी? है ना. In news you must have heard about this car which runs only on water. ठीक है, have you heard about this news about a car which can run only on water? ठीक है, तो like for example in media or somewhere or in news you must have heard about this. So this news makes a great news because it is a sensation, because how can we make the car run only by adding water? So if we can do that, then we can solve all the energy problems of the world. This is what this battery is about. So basically you have to understand that car not this battery does not run on water, है ना, water पे run नहीं करती है. It runs on aluminum. Aluminum is the fuel and water is only the reactant. Basically it helps the aluminum to burn. So in this what we are doing is that we are basically burning aluminum. We are basically, in layman terms, we are burning aluminum. And for example, if we are burning aluminum, there will be an aluminum plate, and we will burn it, and we will basically oxidize it, and we will convert it into aluminum hydroxide, trihydroxide. So if you know the basic science, then you must be knowing that what is this? This is the aluminum ore. This is the aluminum ore from which we extract aluminum. तो पहले हमने इस ore से aluminum, ठीक है, इसमें कुछ impurity भी होंगी, there will be some impurity. First we convert this ore by giving a lot of energy, and then we convert this ore into pure aluminum. then we use this aluminum in the battery, and here we again do the reverse thing, that we are combining aluminum with oxygen and water to make this again. Okay, so this is the entire thing that this battery is trying to do. This battery is basically trying to get the energy from aluminum by oxidizing it in the presence of oxygen and water. This is the basic thing that we have to understand. Now, this technology is not new. Basically, it was discovered very earlier that we can burn aluminum in the presence of oxygen and water, and we can produce electricity. But what is the problem? The problem is that, so first of all, let us understand the benefits of this. Benefits of this. So the benefits are this. Where are the benefits? Okay, that this type of aluminum battery, aluminum air battery, can offer great range. For example, a single battery can make the vehicle run for 400 kilometers. Okay, and it also can last a long time. Last a long time. If you remove if you remove water completely from this battery, then this battery can last for infinite amount of time. It will not degrade. It will not degrade. मीन्स अगर 50% इसका चार्ज है, 50% है, और यू रिमूव ऑल दी वाटर, so then it will remain 50% for very long time. It will not degrade automatically. है ना. This is not like your phone. For example, you have a phone, है ना, इसकी बैटरी 90% है, और आप सुबह उठ के देख, यू आर नॉट यूजिंग इट, एंड देन यू वेक अप इन द मॉर्निंग एंड सी कि इसकी बैटरी 80% हो गई, है ना. एंड इफ यू कीप दिस फॉर फ्यू डेज और फ्यू वीक्स, देन आप देखते हो कि विदाउट एनी यूज ऑल्सो द बैटरी गोज डाउन टू 20%, 30%. तो दिस इज called losses. So if in this air battery, if we are removing water completely, if we are able to remove water completely from the battery, then it will remain at this particular stage, because aluminum plate is there. If there is no water, the aluminum plate will not react, so it will stay as it is. Okay, so whatever amount of charge is left in the battery, it will remain there if we are able to hold it, if we are able to completely remove the water from the battery. But if water remains in the battery, then the battery will be consumed very fast. So it can offer a great range. It is also long lasting, and we are making this aluminum air battery, so it will boost the Make in India program, obviously. Okay. Now it is also cheap because lithium is very costly and aluminum is relatively cheap as compared to lithium. Now these are the advantages of this battery. But what are the disadvantages? Disadvantages, as I have already mentioned, that first of all, removing or extracting aluminum from this, that is also very energy consuming process. So a lot of energy is given into this to extract the aluminum. Then we are again burning the aluminum and taking out the energy. So this process is inefficient. So for whatever amount of, suppose we are giving 100 units of energy here to extract aluminum, from aluminum ore, then we will get only 20 to 30% of 30 units of energy back. Okay, so this process itself is very inefficient. So, and also this is not very energy consuming, and it may not prove to be environment friendly in the long run, because we are using a lot of energy here to first convert aluminum, get pure aluminum from aluminum hydroxide, then we are reversing the process inside the battery and getting electricity out of it. Okay, then the making of the aluminum also we are putting a lot of electricity, so this process may not be very environment friendly in the long run, because it consumes a lot of energy. So this is what we have to understand. Now as a backup option, this battery is very good, because you can just keep it for a long time and it will not degrade. It will just stay there, and whenever you want to use it, you can just add water and it will just give the electricity. So it is long lasting in that sense. So it is very rugged also, it will not be destroyed easily, and it has a lot of range also. The capacity of the battery is also very high. So as a backup option, or in certain scenarios where you need a very quiet operation, where you cannot afford to have noise, or where you want high reliability, So in those situations, for example, military situations or certain defense situations or in outer space, etc., this can be a very good technology. This can be very good technology because it is very reliable and it is very energy. It has a very high energy density. But as a normal using battery in the cars, it is still questionable. ठीक है. The next point is about the electric vehicle programs of India. So India currently imports all of its 100% of its EV and other lithium ion based batteries from abroad. ठीक है. And this is the important facts regarding the electric vehicles progress in India, that there are different programs by the government of India. For example, National Electronic Mobility Mission Plan, Faster Adoption and Manufacturing of Electric Vehicles Scheme. These are the different plans which are there by the government of India in order to boost the electric vehicles in the country. Okay. Now coming to the defense portion, that this was in news that there was a report by the SIPRI, that is the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, that India's defense export have fallen by 33%. So this is a, basically in the report they have said that India's imports have reduced because India has a complex procurement process. But you must also see it with the other efforts that India is giving in order to boost the domestic defense industry. Domestic defense industry को जो boost करने के लिए इंडिया एफर्ट डाल रहा है, उसके बारे में भी देखना चाहिए आपको, because India is trying very hard to reduce its imports of the defense equipment and to become self-reliant in terms of defense procurement and production. So in this particular aspect, first let us see this. This is an important article that was there in the Next IAS Current Affairs magazine. So this topic talks about the possibility or the benefits that India can have by becoming self-reliant in the defense sector. Self-reliant in the defense sector. So this is so a lot of students generally ask that what kind of answer should we write in the mains examination, or what important points can we write. So this is a basic article which will give you the basic facts, and it will tell you how to write a good answer. So if we see that there are the benefits of indigenization in the defense sector, what are the benefits? That if India is able to produce all the equipments that it needs for the defense sector, then it will reduce our fiscal deficit, because India basically spends a lot of money to import defense equipments. So right now India is the second largest arms importer in the world, next only to Saudi Arabia. So if we make our own defense equipments, then we can reduce our fiscal deficit. And there are other points also, that there will be if we make our own defense equipment, then we will be dependent on ourselves, so it will improve our national security. There will be generation of a lot of employment, and according to government estimate, it is said that just 20% reduction in the imports will create 1 lakh additional high skilled jobs in India. And if we are able to make the defense equipments, then we can also export them to other countries. So India can become an exporter of the defense sector, defense equipments. So this will also generate forex reserves for India. So this is also a benefit. Now, just because this is an important topic, so we also have to understand that what are the steps taken by India in this regard. Okay, so there are different government initiatives. For example, the defense procurement policy recently, the defense procurement policy and the defense acquisition council, okay, was allowed. In this, the defense acquisition council was allowed to fast track the ways to acquire defense weapons. And there is the establishment of the e-biz portal, which can provide access for industrial licensing. Then there is the innovation for defense excellence framework, IDEX framework. Then if we see that there is the removal of the annual capacity restriction criteria for defense industries, and the strategic partnership policy was also approved by the government. In this strategic partnership policy, the certain private players will be accepted as a strategic partner, and they will be Under the government will designate certain private players as strategic partners, and these will have long-term relationship with global defense majors, so that they can import technologies and they can make defense equipments in India. Okay. And also the FDI policy was earlier 49% of FDI was allowed in the defense sector. Now 74% of FDI is allowed. So government of India is taking multiple steps in order to boost the defense manufacturing in India. But what are the challenges of the indigenization of the defense sector? The challenges are very heavy, very large. That private sector participation is low in the defense sector because it requires a lot of capital, and it also requires a lot of technology. Then, then there is a manufacturing and procurement related delays. The policies of the government uh, that regarding import of technology and import of certain equipments may cause some delays. Then apart from this, there is the conflict between the manufacturers and the defense forces. Okay. So basically the defense forces say that they know what is best for them, but the manufacturers say that this kind of thing is not good, but we should produce different type of equipments. Okay. So this is the type of thing that also goes. So there has to be a cooperation between the manufacturers and the defense forces, so that they can mutually come to terms on what is the best kind of equipment that can be built. Okay. And so what are the suggestions? The suggestion will be to implement the Shaketkar committee recommendations and closure of the army postal establishments and military farms in peace locations. Okay. So idea is basically the suggestions are basically that we should improve the private participation in the defense sector, and we can do this by providing permanent arbitration cell, so to resolve the disputes regarding the defense manufacturing. And the another idea is that we can provide autonomous status to DRDO, so that it can function effectively without any political interference. Then Shekatkar committee recommendations is also there, that this committee recommended the transformation of military intelligence school at Pune into tri-services intelligence training establishment. So this is just one of the recommendations. There are many recommendations. You can just go through the committee's report. So ultimate aim is to make in India, and make India independent in terms of defense equipment. So India is slowly working towards that. And for example, we are creating defense corridors, defense industrial corridors. So all these things will slowly work towards improving our uh, production in the defense sector. Okay. So basically this I opened this document in order to show you that what good answer can we write in the mains examination. So this is a complete article. You can just read it and understand what important topics has to be covered. Now the other key takeaways from this report is that the States is the world largest arms exporter, and India is the second largest arms importer. And India is superseded by Saudi Arabia, and this is and followed by Egypt, Australia, and China. Okay. Other things are that India is striving hard to reduce its dependence on foreign players in terms of defense imports. Okay. And the vision of India is very clear, that imports has to be reduced, but we have to also meet the increasing threats from Pakistan and China. So we have to maintain a balance between and imports and indigenous manufacturing. So this has to be maintained. Okay, so these are the different factors that go into our defense procurement. Recently, India has also set aside 63% of our military capital budget for buying locally produced weapons. ठीक है. And हमने बहुत सारे indigenous procurements भी किए हैं, जैसे कि MK1A जेट, लाइट कॉम्बैट हेलीकॉप्टर्स, तेजस हमारा है, जो हमारी अस्त्रा है मिसाइल, एंटी टैंक मिसाइल्स, ये सब हमने खुद बनाए, अर्जुन टैंक हमारे. तो these are the important indigenous procurement that we have done. SIPRI is an independent international institute which is dedicated to research into conflicts, armaments, arms control, etc. Its objective is to undertake research activities on security, conflict, and peace, and provide policy analysis and recommendations. So it delivers authoritative information to global audience. So SIPRI is basically a research institute. It collects data and analyzes them, and it gives certain recommendations based on that. Now coming to the last topic, that is the S-400 deal. So S-400 deal is basically a deal between India and Russia in order to import S-400 system. So what is this S-400 system? S-400 is a system consisting of different missiles, radars, launchers, and computers, so that it can detect incoming threats, aerial threats, and it can automatically automatically fire missiles to neutralize the incoming threats. So it is a comprehensive system which can neutralize incoming threats automatically. You know. So this is a very good system. It has been described as one of the best air defense systems by the Economist and most advanced air defense system by SIPRI. But there is a problem that the CATSA law of the USA, which is a hindrance. So USA has passed this law that if we trade, or if any country buys a lot of defense equipments from Russia, ठीक है, then US has the right to place certain sanctions on them. ठीक है, तो India is trying to get a waiver on the CATSA so that India can buy this S-400 deal, S-400, and it should not also get the sanctions. ठीक है, तो in this aspect, what is important is to understand the different air defense systems of India. The first is the Akash surface to air missile. So it can hit aerial targets like fighter jets, cruise missiles, and air to surface missiles. Okay, it is built by the DRDO, indigenously built by DRDO. It is supersonic missiles, and it is in operation with the Indian Army and Air Force. Its range is up to 30 kilometers at an altitude of 118,000 meters. So up to 30 kilometers it can hit the target. Now apart from that, there are other defense missile defense systems. For example, the ballistic missile defense program of India. This provide a two-layered shield. One is the exo atmosphere and one in the endo atmosphere. तो exo atmosphere वाली क्या है? It can intercept missiles at a very great height, very great height. So this is a ballistic missile defense system. So it can target ballistic missiles which are coming at very high speeds towards India. ठीक है, तो exo atmosphere में protection means it can destroy missiles from 80 to 120 kilometers in the sky. ठीक है, this is atmospheric interception. Now what missile we will use in destroying this incoming ballistic missile? We will use Prithvi air defense, Prithvi missile. ठीक है, Prithvi missile. तो we will use this to destroy the incoming ballistic missiles at 80 kilometers of distance. Now if we are not able to destroy it at a greater distance, and somehow this missile escapes our Prithvi missile, so it will come very close to the earth. Now we need a system which can attack or destroy this missile very close to the surface of the earth. ठीक है, तो for this we have the Ashwin air defense system. It has a range of 15 to 30 kilometers. So we will destroy the missiles within the range of 15 to 30 kilometers. ठीक है, तो what missile will we use? We will use the Akash surface to air missile in this also. So Akash is built by the DRDO. We will use it here also, and we will use a modified version of the Prithvi in this exo-atmospheric interception, and for endo-atmospheric we will use Akash. Okay. Other than that, there is the S-400 which we are buying from Russia. Now this is a complete autonomous system. It can track. Basically, this is good for cruise missiles, है ना, and this is good for ballistic missile. तो ballistic missile के लिए ये हो गया हमारा, और cruise missiles, aircrafts, UAVs, drones वगैरह के लिए ये हो गया हमारा, और ballistic के लिए ये हो गया. ठीक है, तो ये दोनों का पर्पस अलग अलग है, दोनों का टारगेट अलग अलग है. फिर इसके अलावा देर इज डिफरेंट मिसाइल सिस्टम. फॉर एग्जांपल स्पाइडर विच हैज़ अ रेंज ऑफ जस्ट 15 किलोमीटर्स, तो ये 15 किलोमीटर के अंदर ही मारता है. फिर बैराकेट इज अ जॉइंट प्रोजेक्ट बाय DRDO एंड Israel, and it has a longer range of at least 70 kilometers. ठीक है, तो these are the different air defense systems that we have in India. सबका अपना अपना अलग अलग रेंज है, अलग अलग इनके प्लेसेस हैं. ठीक, तो आई होप विद दिस वी कंक्लूड the discussion for today. I hope you have learned a lot. If you have learned it, please share this with your friends so that they also get to learn something new. We will meet in the next video. Thank you.